Hi, so in this video I want to show vibe coding with Gemini 2.5 and also with the Business Management Benchmarks database. So in the last video we set up vibe coding on the Gemini website, and we're going to use that again this time as well too. So again, if you don't have the Pro plan set up for students, you can visit this link right here and sign up for that. Make sure you do that by June 30th, and then you'll have it through spring 26. Then go to the website for Gemini, which is right here. And that's going to take us over to this website right here. This time what we're going to do before we start is we're going to upload some documentation for Gemini to use when it creates the web apps. Remember, you click over here in the Canvas tool to get a window that you can edit with Gemini and create the web apps. But in order for Gemini to pull the data from our database, it needs some documentation about that. So I put that in this document about vibe coding that is going to be in the description below this video. So you can always find the steps for what to do in order to do this in here. But when you're on the website for Gemini Chat, what you do is you basically upload a file that has the documentation for the database in it. So this is a link for that document. It's actually a Markdown document, and Markdown is really well understood by LLMs, so that's one of the reasons for using Markdown here. But if we actually, we can actually take a look at this document online. Here's the online version of it, so let me make it a little bit bigger. So just so you see what we're going to be given the LLM, it's just a description of how to pull the data from that database. Remember, the Business Management Dolt database is just an online database hosted at Dolt Hub. And so web applications can grab the data from that if they have the right URL and download the data from the database. This is the technical name for this is called a REST API. And if you have a REST API for your documents or your data, then it's pretty easy from a web application to grab the data in a structure that's easy to use in the user interface. So this is just a description of the database, and I think we talked about this data last time. There's a few regular core tables that have the financial data for the different companies in them. And then there's some tables that have the calculated metrics in it. And then there's some views. So the views are all basically kind of like reports, the way you think of them. They're a particular organization for the data. And so there's four main types of views that are part of the database. And then down here is a description of the different data types and the fields in the tables. So here's the company info table, here's the financials table, and this is all just so that the LLM understands what's in this table exactly. So that's a list of the tables, and then there's a bunch of examples down here of the different views and what they're used for. And so you don't necessarily need to know all of the details down here, but you can read through here if you want to. Basically, what the LLM has to figure out from this is what these URLs look like for where the data is. It creates an SQL query, then it puts it into this URL, and then it sends that off to the database online, and then some data is returned after it does that. So there's some very explicit examples here of how this works, and this is just all by way of making the LLM understand better how to do this. So it's all kind of pretty straightforward, and you don't need to look at it separately, but if you'd like to, you certainly can. So let's go back over here. So the way to do this on this website is to go to that document that's in the vibe coding how to here and go to this guy right here and say we visit this on the web, and it's here, and this is Markdown. So what I want to do is right click this and say save as, and it'll save that out. And so once I do that, I can go back to here, and I'm going to say add files. So that's basically what we're going to do. Now, I think you could copy and paste it in here, but it seems to work a little bit better if it's a separate file that you upload for Gemini to look at. So I'm going to say add files, and you can upload files from your hard drive, you can get them from your Google Drive, you can even import a GitHub repo, and we might look at doing things this way in a later video. But say upload files, and then go to where you saved that out. I just saved it out a minute ago, and so I'm going to grab it here, and it pulls it in. And so there it is. So now it has that file with all that documentation in it. And basically that tells it how to construct the code in the web app in order to do the kind of query or data pool that we want it done. So now I'm going to click Canvas on. Remember, I want to edit a canvas with Gemini. And now I'm just going to ask it to create a web app. And so the web app is going to be HTML and some JavaScript and some CSS. So, but it knows all that as well too. So can you create a web app? Let's just ask it for the Amazon data that's in the database. Nothing special. No calculated fields, just the raw financials for Amazon that it has. So can you create a web app that shows the data from Amazon for the different years? Put the data into a nice table for display. Let's make the years the columns. Okay, and no, that should be a good start. Let's see what it does with that. So it's thinking. This is a thinking model, I guess. You can show the thinking if you want to, although I find the thinking kind of weird and for Gemini. At any rate, yeah, it's looking, so it's definitely looking at all that documentation we gave it, because this is where it's getting all of this kind of detail from. So, okay, so it came up with a plan, and now it's created this app over here. It's pasting in the code right now, and when it pastes in the code, it shows it in the code part of the window over here, and then finally once it's done, it'll switch over to the preview part. Okay, so it's still pasting things in, I think. And you can read this stuff. Usually I don't follow too closely what it's doing until it's finally, unless there's some problem. So, all right, so this is great. I don't know why we have this message up here, but okay, so we have the data for Amazon over the last few years. Is there a way to scroll this? It would be nice if there were a way to scroll this down here. Okay, I don't see a way to scroll it. Okay, so we could ask it for a scroll bar on there, for example, and we don't need that message up there. It did get the figures rounded or in the thousands, which makes sense, so that's good. Yeah, so let's just ask it to improve things a little bit. Can you, maybe it's my zoom that's causing the problem. If we zoom back to 100%, do I get a scroll bar? I don't. I think it should give us a scroll bar. So can you give us a scroll bar on the table so it scrolls horizontally? Right? Okay, let's see. Okay, so it's telling me how it's going to do it, which is fine. All right. I didn't ask it to take out that little green message up there. It says here's the code, but it actually puts the code over here in the Canvas window, even though it says here's the code. I like how it's putting this stuff right here. You made that up. Uh, all right. So, did we get a scroll bar? Well, we got a scroll bar over here. Whoops. It gave me a vertical scroll bar, but I asked for a horizontal one. Okay. I want a horizontal scroll bar. Okay. Let's see if it gets it this time. Oh, it says it automatically adds it, but it is showing actually the data over there. So let's actually maybe, can I zoom it up a bit and see if I can get it to show? Yeah, there. Oh, it is showed there. Okay, so yes, I see it. All right, is it doing it again? I don't. It doesn't need to. Sometimes when you ask it to fix things and they're already working, it gets confused and it tries to fix it anyway. Okay, so there's the data. We could ask it to take that out, but we'll leave it. But just sort of you see the iteration. Maybe let's also add in the financial metrics as well. So can you add the financial metrics to this table? Let's say to a different table. To a table below this one. Let's take out the green message. Take out the green loaded success message. All right, let's see if it does that. Okay, it's not a very interesting application. I know we're just showing the raw data, but you kind of get the idea. And then we'll show some more sophisticated examples in later videos. Okay, I don't know how am I zoomed up again too much? I don't know. Go back to 100%. Okay, there we are. Oops. All right. Okay, well, I guess I could go and see if this is still pasting in the code. Okay, 2.5 Pro is a little bit slower than Flash for sure. If you want something that's snappier, use Flash because it is a little bit quicker. So here's the metrics and the ratios, and it's also got the scroll bars, I guess, as well too. So, okay, so that's nice. I like that. Next time we'll come back and do something a little more sophisticated.